Welcome to Technology and Education. Today I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford.
Today we are discussing the role of the new assistant professor, what you need to do and what you need to know. So Caroline, what kind of balance is necessary and what are the requirements for a new assistant professor?
Oh, teaching, research, and service for the next 6-7 years, that's all you're going to have is your life effort. Teaching, research, and service. And depending upon the type of institution, you really need to find out what are the areas of emphasis as you're going up for promotion and tenure. Because at some institutions, it's very much focused upon teaching. At many institutions, you have to have a very strong research component, and of course, the service is vitally important, not only at the university, but also within your professional realm.
Okay, so what is service? This sounds like an open-ended activity.
Service is actually a strangely difficult component to engage in within your university. Service can be to your program, whatever program you happen to be hired into as your contracted area, usually involving your subject matter area of expertise. Also for your department, for your school or college, and then at the university level. And depending upon your university, there are different expectations. Many universities try and hold back on service to the institution for promotion and tenure purposes, recognizing that the tenure track person really needs to get their teaching and research going, as well as the recognition at the national, international levels.
Here's a question. What's a specific example of service to a university?
Service to a university. A lot of universities suggest that a tenure track person does not sit on faculty senate, for example, because it is so politically charged, and you have to understand the university before you can actually successfully engage. So many times to your department, to your college, those type of efforts, you would sit on committees. You would delve into an understanding of what the college is about, and get to know your other colleagues in the different programs, as well as in your own program. Get to develop an understanding of how things actually work. What is the culture of the place?
Right. So in other words, you would sit on a committee that would determine standards for particular courses or curriculum for particular courses, maybe design policies for faculty to follow. Is it that sort of thing?
There can be committees like that. Many times at the larger universities there are curricular committees. On the other hand, the faculty own the subject matter areas, and understanding that the faculty are subject matter areas of expertise in their own right, there are different areas of understanding regarding curriculum. Like, for example, in colleges of education, there are curricular committees focusing upon teacher education programs, ensuring that you're meeting the state mandates.
Basically, what you're doing with service comes down to, for the university, is you're doing semi-administrative tasks for the university.
As well as bringing your subject matter expertise into the discussion.
Right, and then there's another level of service that is available, if I'm correct, which would be service at a state or national level,
or international level.
Okay, how does that? What's an example of service at a national level?
They're at different professional organizations. They have different committees, commissions, standing SIGs, as well as more executive level efforts, and engaging in those efforts is so important for a tenure track person, because you become recognized, you have name recognition, people get to know who you are and the quality of your work, the quality of your effort, and it's vitally important when it comes to a tenure track person's promotion and tenure stage.
Right, because you get a certain number of points for each committee that you serve on a national committee if you head up an organization.
Points?
Tenure points.
No, it's more about that. That's important when it comes to annual review stuff. How well recognized your name is when it comes to promotion and tenure time. It's not about the points, it's about how well known you are in your field and well recognized, and people want to work with you. Are you developing into a vital member of the profession. So it's not about point allocation when it comes to promotion and tenure. For annual reviews, yes, that's the way a lot of organizations set it up.
Okay, so it's dependent upon the organization and what you're doing. Now let's go into the second of those statements that you made, which was teaching. What should a new assistant professor look forward to for teaching assignments? Is there a number of courses that person should expect to be teaching? How should that person prepare for those courses? Will that person be expected to take somebody else's courses over, or develop his or her own courses?
The teaching part of your contractual obligation is rather interesting. It depends upon the institution in which you were contracted to work. Many institutions, you have a 2-course for your primary fall and spring semester expectation. No matter where you go, no matter what institution, if you're talking about a college or university level, not talking about community college, but college or university level, you have a 4-course expectation. And depending upon the university in which you are hired, in which you're working...
This is 4 courses over 2 semesters?
Over 1 semester period. 8 courses over the fall and spring semesters. But I'm just talking about semester by semester. So for your first semester, it's a 4-course expectation. If you're at a teaching institution, you may have all 4 courses, you may only have 3 courses, because the university will buy out your time, meaning they will buy one of your courses out of your teaching load. At the larger research institutions, you have usually a 2-course teaching load, because 2 of your contracted courses are bought out by the university for your research and service efforts. It all depends upon where you are. And at many institutions, as a first semester tenure track person, they will buy out an additional course for you. You need to talk to them about this, because that's not always the case. But many times they will buy out one of your courses, your first semester, maybe first 2 semesters, in order to help you acclimate to your new role.
So that you should talk to them before you sign on the dotted line.
Absolutely.
Get all this straightened out.
Absolutely.
Figure out how many courses you will be responsible for teaching.
Especially your first year, or at least your first semester. Find out what's going on. And recognizing if you're teaching face-to-face, if you're teaching blended learning courses, if you're teaching online courses, also vitally important to know, acknowledge, and recognize what your efforts will be, because the blended and online takes so much more time and effort than straight face-to-face, where you see them for 3 hours, you have your office hours, and you wander off doing your research and service components. When it comes to the teaching, you may be taking over someone else's prior course. It would be useful to review their course syllabus. What happened before?
If it's a face-to-face course.
Right. Or even an online course. You have the right, as a faculty member, to revise the courses as appropriate. You need to find out what the internal structures are associated with that, and we can go into that later. But let's talk about a face-to-face course. You might want to know what was focused upon in prior courses, and then make your decisions about your areas of expertise and what you're bringing to the discussion. But knowing what the objectives are, how the courses you're teaching fit into the larger picture, helps you understand how much leeway you have when it comes to how you're designing the course.
Okay, let's go into that third component, research. What should a new hire look out for as far as research requirements?
Research is probably the most difficult thing to focus on. You have the presentations at the regional, state, national, and international levels. And for those presentations, the more national, international presentations that you can focus upon, the better, because you want the name recognition. And it's very difficult to be accepted to present at national, international conferences.
Right, but before you can do those presentations, you have to have done some research that you're presenting about, and that must take a considerable amount of time.
Oh yes, absolutely. On the other hand, someone who's tenure track has most likely delved into research with their dissertation topics, as well as have areas of expertise that they've already begun focusing upon. It's really difficult as a brand new, if we're talking about someone who's just graduated with their doctorate, or just begun their tenure track focus, it's really difficult to get your research going. Partially because you're so overwhelmed with everything else that you're doing, but also partially because you don't know exactly how to get started. And finding colleagues where you're working is vitally important. It's really difficult. I really had a hard time finding colleagues at my first institution where they were collegial and
Not
wanted to
competitive.
write. Well, competitive is part of the game plan. Now, stealing somebody's work is a different level of competitiveness, but finding someone who wanted to write, who was engaged in research, who wanted to collaborate was horribly difficult. And now being a tenured person, I find that it's vitally important, partially to the culture of the institution, but also to try and help everybody else, pass it forward, helping other people get involved in the writing process and publishing process. It's really important to pass it forward and help others, because I didn't have that. But along with the presentation is the publication, and that is the amazingly difficult part. What everybody strives for is national, international, peer-reviewed journals in which to publish. And it is amazingly difficult. It takes a long time. I just had a paper published in an international referee journal, peer-reviewed journal last week, last week, and I had forgotten I even submitted it because it was so long ago. And then I get this email, hey, you've been accepted for publication. If you don't mind making this little tweak here and tweak there, we're going to publish you. It's like, what? I don't recall doing this, but okay. And it turns out, yeah, I did. It was 8-9 months ago, but still.
Okay, I think we can see that life for a new assistant professor is going to be quite an adventure.
Look for people who are going to support you. That's vital to your success.
For Technology and Education Today, I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford. Bye.